Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me all right in the back? Yes, thank you so much for confirming that. Welcome to our session. I know that some of you might have the lunch dip already, so we promise we will make it very engaging. Make sure we can stay awake. So in this workshop, we want you and your company to help you gear up to climb the personalization ladder and maximize growth. So I'm Christopher. I lead the marketing in Europe at CleverTap. And with me is Yeshas, who leads the partnerships in Europe. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Yeshas, and of course, as Chris mentioned, I look after partnerships at CleverTap. And I'm not going to go tell what CleverTap is and all of that. That we have a whole time later on. But why are we here today? Definitely not with my magic wand working. How about that? Yes. So why are we here today? So one, I just wanted to make a GIF, but Chris removed it because he's too Dutch. One which had like the one ring to rule them all. I wanted to give you that because I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. But I couldn't have that, so he made me type some corporate thing, which is we are gonna provide a framework which allows you to increase your user engagement. I'm not gonna say it's something it's gonna be life-changing or something like that, but it can be something that can be really helpful for you, especially if you guys are looking at your app and how you want to engage with your users, how you want to retain users, and things like that. And if I use this framework and if I retain most of you guys and don't leave the room today, then I think this framework works as well. On that note, so how many of you hear the word hyper-personalization? Anybody? Yeah. How many of you get personalized ads or personalized push or anything like that? Yeah, you better, huh? Yes. Yeah, they're from that close. So great. And how many of you think you think that you got a personalized ad, but it was not personal at all? Like only your name was there, but then you got something else. Yeah, right? Many of us. The reason for that is that we are living in a world of hyper-personalization. Everybody talks about it, everybody says about it, but not everybody does it properly because you jump. So let's say you want to go to the moon, and somebody in the States, somebody who builds electric cars also want to go to the moon and take man to the moon. And what they did was like, we just going to build a rocket without actually having a rocket or engineers kind of thing. So you cannot do that. You cannot go to the moon without having a rocket. But to even build a rocket, you need a framework. So similar to that, if you want to do hyper-personalization, you also need to have a framework, and there's a step-by-step framework as to how you go. And that is the framework that we're going to go in and present it to you today. So in the next 40 minutes, what we're going to talk about is 3 or 4 different things, but mainly about one, how to get clear definitions, because the biggest thing is like what I speak is different to that. Remember the Lord of the Rings thing? I thought it was funny, but the Dutch guy said no. So similar to that, we want to ensure that there is a proper definition that is being carried out on. Then, of course, how you align in your company with some of the framework and how you're going to personalize and everything else. But I'm not going to be yapping. It's too much. We had good lunch. That was good lunch, a little bit. And I'm not a bit of a talker, as you can see. So for that, I want all of you to also think about it. So what we're going to do next is make a group. And Chris, can you help trying to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I said it was engaging, and basically what we're going to do, you're going to do today is create your own companies. So to make groups, I'll start with the number 1. We go up to 4, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you hear the number next to you, you continue going up. You hear 4, you go to 1. Okay, so 1. All right, so now per group, I need a random word. 2 actually. So any word that comes to mind. Any word that comes to mind. Any word at all.
First word that comes to your mind. Mother.
Whoa,
oh, wow.
Okay.
Group. Okay. This is 3 and this is 4, right? Yeah. Ferrari. Love it. Love it. Rooster. Okay. Okay, we'll start off with the second word. Okay, we'll come to these guys and then come back to you. Roosters can think a little bit more. Yeah, the second word. Yes. Difficult to follow up, I know, but still. Don't say wife.
Cops.
Cops. health, the police, cops. So mother, cops, and yours was health. And what was the first word again? Group. So group and health. Okay. Beach. Okay, like it. The Ferrari and the beach. Nice. The Roosters and? Football. Love it. Love it. Okay. So now you have a minute and a half to
Create your company. So what app are you going to create with those 2 words?
Two
We have
words.
2 minutes to think about it.
So your mother and cops come
Good
up with
luck,
an app.
guys.
The beach and the Ferrari come up with an app. The football and rooster. And then group and, what was the last word again? Group and health. That's easy, huh? Discuss about it. Okay, so we are all done? Everybody create an app? Yeah? Okay, great. Congratulations. You all have a company. And if a pitch is right, you're getting a good seed funding from me. Just don't ask what the money is. Okay. So before that, I want to know what your app is. So if you will start with team 1. So please say your 2 words and also what your app is all about. Who's going to somebody?
So we're Mother and Cop, and the app is about keeping your children safe online.
Okay. And what kind of an app is it? I mean,
So it'll be like a tracking app.
okay.
Might track your usage on social media, your child's usage elsewhere in order to try and like stop them wandering into dangerous spaces, getting consumed by content that maybe they shouldn't.
Okay. Lovely, lovely. You might have some.
How about the group over here?
Oh, we were going to be a school football coaching / football league app. Rooster football.
Okay. And the group over here,
We were group health, and so we are an app for people to be healthy in groups. So that might be find a run club or find a cycling club.
Okay, lovely.
All right. How about here?
So we were Ferrari Beach, so we organised luxury holidays for you, and when you land, you get a luxury car to drive to wherever you're staying.
Lovely. I would like that. I would actually like that. Okay, so now you know what an app is, right? And you know who's your target users, right? So you know whom you're targeting. You're targeting parents. You're targeting everyone. You're targeting just the people with some moolah. And you're targeting people like me who love football. So now, as you see, some of the users, they all can be different. But the way you actually engage with them has to be in a different way. Now, when you're thinking about it, how many of you are all marketeers? Raise your hand. Most of you guys are marketeers. How many of you are in UA? How many do UA? Nobody does UA. How many of product managers? Yeah. How many of you are consumers? Everyone, right? So when you actually think about it, when you have an app, when we become an app, we become a marketeer. And we actually have this onboarding in terms of when we think about it from how should we frame it, right? So if you look at the omni-channel boarding, so you will have like a new user. From a marketer, you will think about from that, and then you'll try to like have personalized recommendations. You want to activate it. Then you want to ensure that you retain the customers and have a purchase. But majority of the times where many apps actually fail to try to get it is they don't think from what the customer journey is, right? Your customer journey has to align with what your product-wise journey is as well. So it's very important to also know, like, how would you do the onboarding channel? So for your app, which are the users and how are you going to do it? What kind of mothers will you actually target? Who can actually pay? Who are the ones that you're going off? How safe is it, right? Of a group, who actually are in the groups? Can you actually target expats? Probably because of that, they will be able to, make more friends or strangers like that, and they want to be a missing home. So they want to get into a group or something like that. But how would you sign up? What would be your personalization? And how would you actually retain customers? So these are the things. On that, so what we want to start off is the framework, which I said, right? So you have the 2 ways, methodologies, but that methodologies has to be come across within a framework that you can use to actually grow your app. So the first part is basic demographic segmentation. So the basic demographic segmentation is all about scheduled delivery, right? So you have a certain demographic and you want to send them a push notifications. For example, let's take the luxury, the app, right? The luxury beach. I am going through, spring is coming, right? The school holidays are coming. We are all going for some kind of a holiday. How about like send them a push notification right before when they book something else, right? You can do that. Or right, before the school holidays, you can probably book something. Or for the group health, right? There's a probably new calendar year. There's a new spring coming. People want to go out and exercise rather than being in gym. You want to do that. Probably say, hey, there's a marathon coming. Do you want to go and like train yourself for the marathon? So all these are like basic segmentation in terms of based on calendar scheduled delivery, based on something that you can actually do into that. Now, this is the user journey, which I spoke about and a little bit much more deeper than what we spoke, right, in terms of the framework. So you have the onboarding. The most apps that actually do not engage well is the onboarding. How many how many of you guys felt like that? You know what? I had this amazing app. I clicked on it. The ad was amazing. The great ad. As I looked into it, it was like, oh, this is the app I want. I clicked on it. I opened it. And then I had the most worst onboarding experience ever. It asked questions over questions, and I never, ever got into it. That is one of the most issues. So you have to streamline in terms of your onboarding. How are you going to onboard it and to ensure that it is not invasive enough, plus it is as intuitive enough, and it matches to what your user acquisition strategy was as well. If you have a different strategy to compare to what your onboarding is, the mismatch generally creates some kind of an not too good experience, which enables a lot of churn in the beginning side of things. Then you do some engagement. Of course, you have the engagement that you do that. Then the next cycle, of course, they will convert. That means they will add to cart, or they will make the payment or subscription or something like that. Some of your apps might have loyalty so you might have to think which of you guys might have a loyalty program. Some of you might have, some of you might not have. So you have to think about that. And then you have to do the reactivation. So the reactivation is done by sending a push, email, or whatever it is on that. So that's the basic user journey that comes in over here. Now, once I spoke, the second part is the definition, right? How many, you said all product and everybody, how many of you heard the word attribution? Everybody heard the word attribution? Yeah? Do you think the word attribution is the same of what you think to your colleagues? Everybody thinks the same? No, right? Because these are the words we are an elite class, a pseudo-elite class. Okay, this is me saying that because we love our jargons. We love throwing in those jargons, say, oh yeah, I do the attribution, I am in the engagement. But the problem is that what a product person thinks of as a engagement or attribution work would be different than what a marketeer says, different to what a CMO says. It's very, very important to have a clear definition about what you go. And that streamline of those definitions is the best way that you can actually define and align the company within yourselves and make sure that your goal is reached much more faster than what it is. And some of these examples are Duolingo. You guys have heard the apps. You guys have seen. There's like a streamline from acquisition standpoint to the way they engage the users, to the way they check out. You don't see there's a break. You don't see there are like 3-4 different teams that are working on these. They all feel like one. And that is because they have a proper definition. So the first one is the onboarded user, right? For your apps, which you have created, you need to define what is an onboarded user. Whom do you consider as an onboarded user? Is it based on somebody who completed a milestone and also, or did they spend a minute? Or is it a mix of both of it? As a product and a marketer, everybody, you need to define properly who is that onboarded person and when do you consider as an onboarded person? Because based on that, the next step become much more easier. And next step is about retention user as well. Everybody says, hey, I want to do retention. How much of the word retention has been used around? Everybody says, hey, we want to retain more users. We want to get more out of our users, right? Acquisition is hard, it's expensive. Let's retain more users. But what is a retained user? Who is a retained user? So retention of the users can be from different, right? From somebody who completed a certain event, or somebody who has been there in the app for 30 days, or they have done something in the past 30 days. And who is it? There are two different types of retained users, right? One is a power user, somebody who's always in the app. We all have these apps, right, where we go every day and we check on it, no matter what, no matter where we are. Some of them probably would be checking if I'm just yapping out for another 5 more minutes, right? So those are these power users. You're power users for those apps. But there are some more apps where you're a hesitant user, where you only use it when you want to use it, or you don't even remember it. So you need to find out what kind of categories you are in. So that's what we are talking about, aligning across the companies. So as the next steps, you have 3.5 minutes right now to define your basic user journey with clear definitions. So you know what your apps are, okay? Discuss among yourselves in 3.5 minutes. How will you onboard your users? What are the target users? And yeah, from then we will take on. So 3.5 minutes. Crack on, boys. Everybody's done? Yeah? Yeah? How easy is it, or how difficult was it? Was it easy? Was it easy? Do you think it would have been easier in your company as well to define this definition so much easier in 3.5 minutes? Just kidding, just kidding. This is a made-up company. So now, when we made these definitions, how many of you thought we are all speaking the same language and the definitions are all the same? Was it easier, or do you thought the definitions were a little bit different than what your other peers thought? Did you all align? Were you all aligned? Everybody's aligned in their groups? Everybody's no? No? Is everybody aligned? The rooster group? Yeah, you're all aligned. You guys are aliens, you're not humans. How can you be so aligned in 3.5 minutes? So the reason I brought that in is because that's very important, right? Everybody has been working in silos. We always talk, even now, over here in APS, you look at that. We have a different section for user acquisition, we have a different section for retention, and we have a different section for something else. The reason is the whole app marketing landscape is changing in a way where everything, you cannot work in silos anymore. If you're a gaming company, you cannot be a UA marketer without knowing what the live ops is doing. If an e-com company, you cannot be a user acquisition manager without not knowing how your product team is working. So it's very important to know that there is a gray area in between, and it is very important to actually have that alignment so that you can move across and have that accelerated growth that you're looking into. So that's about it. The next step after we did the basic segmentation is the behavioral segmentation, right? So we defined your user base, you know who your user base is and everything. Now you need to actually go about and do your behavioral segmentation. The behavioral segmentation can be based on the behavior of your users. So for your app, right, for your group health app, what with the behavioral segmentation? It can be around like somebody who, was active and then dropped off, or somebody who actually came in, joined one group to the other group, or somebody who said that they are all more into running. For your it would be more about, did they have a kid? Did they actually come in? Did they actually have a party or something that they said they want to track the kids or something like that? There can be different behaviors for the users that you want to track on. And based on that, you want to send out a personalized messaging, right? What that does is that it ensures that you have the right aspect for them to engage with your app, and they know that they can trust your app for the thing that they downloaded your app for. So that's why behavioral segmentation becomes really important on that. So having said that, they all defines the next step is also on what do you want to do with those definitions, right? Now, what we divided is like there is user definitions. There are 5 things. We all agree upon this. That is the onboarding, there's activations, there's retention, there's profitability, that is the ROI side of things when they're profitable, and then there's dormant users, right? We all agree these are the main 5 basic things that are there. The most important aspect about this is you need to define milestones for each of these to understand it. So what is the milestone within your user onboarding that you see, okay, they're onboarded and they're ready for the next step? That is the activation part. And what is that milestone when they reach around it, they can move to, and so on and so forth. So that is what is very important in this, in terms of your definitions. And based on that is when you trigger your messaging and your content. Don't trigger a retention messaging when they are onboarding. Don't, and vice versa, right? I don't think so it works. And some of the things that we have seen, like somebody who buys a CleverTap or something, like I'm going to buy a CRM tool and I'm going to send out all these push notifications. You see some of these apps when you download and you get like a barrage of push notifications and a barrage of, it works and it works sometimes, but majority of the time it doesn't work. You need to actually understand when to send what. And that is what this is all about, in trying to ensure that you're sending the right message at the right time with the right content. And that is what we are trying to define over here. So now, another exercise. Sorry, mate, I'm going to make you more work. But for your company now, so you know what, it's tough, right? So within the new company you just formed, what is the behavioral segmentation that you would come? What is that behavior that you will trigger? So you have another 3.5 minutes. So please discuss and see what is that behavior, specific behavior that may ensure that you want to send out a message or you think they have achieved a certain level. 3.5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so everybody got a campaign? Everybody got a campaign? Yeah? I'm going to start with you guys. What's your campaign about?
We had a couple different ones. So one of them was based on if they haven't done some activities and then sending it out, send them push notifications or emails. We also had based on the sport that they do, we could send them, if it's good conditions for that sport, we could send them some engagement notifications to get them out there. We also had stuff around the groups that they're in. So if a group is starting to trail off, we could try and push them back into it.
Lovely, thank you. How about you guys? What was your campaign?
After the user got activated, if the child's behavior is something that is beyond the threshold, the parents kind of get notification. I think that's a common behavioral campaign that we agreed on.
Okay. And is there anything else that you guys thought about?
No, I think we agreed on one behavior. Okay.
The football roosters were really quick.
Yeah, they're always quick.
I think a few of the campaigns we were doing was around, well, there's one, if they haven't used the app for a while, we're going to send them on a trigger-based journey.
Yeah.
If they've done 5 activities in a row, then maybe they're being led down a paid freemium model so we can then drive them towards a subscription. Or if we're seeing that maybe we've got a gamified it and they're halfway towards earning their badge or whatnot, then we can continue to push them down that journey to drive them towards earning that badge, that sort of stuff.
Lovely. And the last group?
The Ferrari Beach.
Again. So yeah, there we are. So have they given a signal that they've already booked a trip? So they've looked for cars in certain locations. So, and then if they haven't booked, kind of telling them what cars we've got in that location. On the flip side of that, if they've looked at certain cars but don't look like they've booked anything yet, telling them what locations we have got that particular type of car in. Things to do with frequent flyers and people who go on frequent trips and trying to push them for their next thing. So just using the signals that they give us in the app to then decide what the next message is.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you all for actually sharing your answers. And I'm so glad that everybody of you are civilized, because I think last time I did somewhere, somebody was like, how can you think of that a campaign? That is a rubbish campaign or something like that. They said. So luckily, nobody actually said that. So you all agree with most of it. So one of the things that you all talk about, okay, is like one step below for the next step, that is how to personalize for bottom line impact, right? You're all trying to say, how can I personalize for the next step? You're thinking more from an individual perspective rather than from a group perspective. And that's what we are actually talking about as the next steps in the personalization ladder. That is behavior trigger delivery. And you spoke about that, right? So you want to trigger a message based on their, behavior. But is one message the best message? Now is when the omni-channel comes into the picture, because it's always not the one type of channel is the best way. You can have, how many of you get annoyed by push notifications? How many of you actually interact with a push notification? Right? How many of you interact with an email? An SMS? a phone call. Yeah, like that. So just in this group, you can see that not all one size fits all, right? If I want to send out a message to all of them, and if APS wants to send out a message, there's a group happening, we should be sending out a mix of people. You need to segment the users based on who actually respond on push, to respond on and then respond on email or respond on messaging or something like that. That's where also not just the behavioral segmentation comes in, but the behavior triggered actual delivery on that. And why not try in-app messaging? Because it works majority of the time. In-app messaging, in there, if you actually provide the right banner or right pop-up or whatever it is, you work on that, you are able to actually communicate much more better. You can have a direct contact with your users, and that actually is the best way to actually, personalize, the first step of personalization that came there. So this is what we went through the last time, but there are two more things that is being added across in this, as I said, in terms of the omnichannel. One is the campaigns. You all drew a campaign that you want to do, but for that campaign, what would be the in-app experience for that campaign? So you want to ensure that you have provide the best in-app experience within that, and that is, again, therefore I said it's not a siloed version, because product will be working with you for probably on the A/B testing side of things. Then the marketeers will be working on sending out those notifications or that message delivery side of things. So you need to work in a better group to ensure that you provide that best in-app experience, because end of the day, the session before this, I think some of you were there, not there, I think was it Quantum Metrics? Quantum Metrics, they actually showcase something about like how they increased the stars of the app from 4 to 4.9 or something like that. That is all because of in-app experience, what they're talking about. And this is one of the side of things as well. So when you increase the in-app experience, your app store ratings also goes up, and the delivery and the retention and everything. So everything is linked to that. So the last % is what comes in, where we finally came in, is the hyper-personalization thing. That's the message content personalization. Just anybody of you look at TikTok? Yeah? Do you guys click on those TikTok ads? Somebody like, this is all millennial Instagram users probably. So most of them look into Instagram ads, the stories ads and everything, or you look into that. When you click on that ad, right, and you come into the app, you want to ensure that you want to get the same thing that you get on that ad, right? And that's where the message content personalization comes in. You need to personalize the content based on how you acquire the user or how you actually communicate the users, be it that banner, be it that creative, be it that messaging. Ensure that you have that message content personalization, which is, and not just saying a name. Don't just say, hey, Yeshas, here's your pair of jeans that you were looking for. No, I wanted that sky blue jeans, which a little bit torn off, it like that. Have that proper personalization that you wanted it, to ensure that you are actually engaging with your users on that. So for that, that's what we actually said. The last one is know your customers, right? So when you know your customers based on the volume, granularity, that's what we discussed about. About integrating technologies, have multiple technologies that will be integrated into your system, but make sure that it's not working as a silo, but as a single thing. Everything is in real time. What we did right now is like we came up with ideas in real time. But imagine you're playing football, right? I mean, the Premier League's happening or something. I get a score, but I get a push notification post the match. After the score is goal, there's no point. I want to know when the goal is scored. Or your ticketing app, when you said that you want to get the messaging right after they book something. So make sure that you're actually using the real time to scale in with the users and everything else. And of course, be proactive in terms of engagement. There's a fine line between being creepy and somebody being annoying to being anticipating and delight. I think that we all understand where that line is. So try to anticipate, provide them a delightful experience. Surprises are good, not all surprises, but there are some surprises are always good. Surprise them in a nice way so that they know your app and they love your app. So this is what we said. Only 1% of them use the hyper-personalization of the message content, which is actual message content. So this goes back to my initial question when I said, how many of you thought they do personalization, but they don't do it in the right way? When you do it in the right way, we see that there's a 3 times improvement in terms of your ROI and everything else. So this is the framework that we thought will really be helpful, that you can actually take across for that. Again, this is what we always want to say at the end as a takeaway, is the engage and personalize for growth. Make sure that you access your user journey properly, have that proper flow built in, make sure that you're actually speaking with the other teams, don't work as a silo. This is just my thing. If you work as a silo, never something good comes out of it. You might have a brilliant idea, but then the other person also will have a brilliant idea. And when you collaborate, you can create great apps like how you did today. So this was the whole part of the exercise, even if you didn't listen to a word of what I said. But if you actually just hear to what your peers and colleagues over just said right now, and you got some ideas over there, this is what the best way to work across as well. And this is what the messaging we wanted to provide in this, not just on the framework side. So this is me, Yeshas, and Chris. And as I said, we want to say what we are CleverTap. CleverTap is an all-in-one engagement platform, but I don't want to go across and say it. We do all the personalization in terms of be it from the analytics standpoint to the messaging standpoint. If you want to know more about us, we are upstairs in the booth number 9, next to Apps Flyer. Come and say hi and have some goodies. I think Chris has some goodies too. Thank you so much for your time, and I want to click say back on the dot. Thank you again and enjoy the APS.